This week I'm going to try to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I want to say thank you to my friend Kelsey for suggesting this week's skill, and if you guys want to suggest any skills that I should learn, leave a comment down below and I'll try my best to get to it. So I'm going to try to learn how to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. I thought this was going to be a really tough challenge for me because in the past, every time I've tried to solve a Rubik's Cube, I've never even came close to being able to do it. But after I did some research on how to actually solve the cube, I discovered that it's not that hard. All it really takes is following certain algorithms, and if you do that correctly, you'll be able to solve the Rubik's Cube every single time. So there's 3 horizontal layers on a 3x3 cube. There's the top layer, the middle layer, and the bottom layer. So the method I'm going to be using to solve this cube, it solves the cube layer by layer. So the first step I took was getting familiar with the Rubik's Cube's notation. These are just letters that are used to describe the rotation of the cube, and it's important to know these so that you can perform the algorithms correctly. After learning the notations, it was time to start solving the cube. So there's 7 different stages, and the first stage is making the white cross, and that's pretty much just making a cross on the white side of the cube. Once you make the white cross, you also have to make sure that the second color on that piece matches with its centerpiece. So now the second stage is filling in the white corners. We got the cross, now we have to get the corners. After putting in the 4 white pieces, you're now done the first layer of the cube. So now that the first layer is complete, I'm going to move on to the second layer. Once you solve the first layer, you have to flip the cube around to solve the second and third layers. So now starting the second layer, this is when you would start using the algorithms. Once I completed the second layer, it was time to move on to the last layer and the 4th stage. So now that we're on the last layer, we have to get a yellow cross on the top of the Rubik's Cube, and this is done by following another algorithm, and you keep repeating that same algorithm until you end up with that yellow cross on top. So now that we have the yellow cross on the top, it's time to move on to the 5th stage, and over here we're pretty much just going to put the edge pieces in the right places. Now that we have the yellow cross and all the edge pieces lined up, now we're moving on to the 6th stage. In this stage, we're just going to put all the yellow corner pieces in the right place. Once you have all the yellow corner pieces in the right place, it's time to move on to the final stage. So now in the final stage, we're pretty much just going to be changing the orientation of the yellow corner pieces. And once you do that, you'll finally have the Rubik's Cube solved. So this last stage is a little bit tricky because there's a couple of different scenarios that you can end up with. And there's a different algorithm for each scenario. So the scenarios that you can end up with, you can have 2 corner pieces that are next to each other but aren't solved. You can have 3 corner pieces that aren't solved. You can have 2 corner pieces that are opposite of each other, or you can have all 4 corner pieces that are mixed up. Those are the different scenarios that you can end up with, and for each scenario there's a different algorithm that you have to use. Depending on what your cube looks like after the 6th stage, if you follow the right algorithm for that scenario, at the end you should have a solved Rubik's Cube. It felt really good to finally be able to solve a Rubik's Cube, so I wanted to time myself and see how long it would take me to solve it. In my first attempt, it took me around 2 minutes to solve the Rubik's Cube, and I wanted to see if I could do it in a faster time. The reason it took me this long to solve the Rubik's Cube was because I had to keep looking back at the algorithms to remember what moves to make. So I tried my best to memorize each algorithm for its given scenario. After practicing and memorizing the algorithms, I timed myself again and I was able to solve the Rubik's Cube in a much shorter time. If if you follow the algorithms correctly, it's really easy to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I think anyone can do this. I recommend writing down each stage and the algorithms on your phone or your computer and just keep practicing. Eventually, you'll get used to the motion of each sequence, so you're not going to have to look back at the algorithms to help you. And if you have it all memorized, then you'll be able to solve the Rubik's Cube a lot faster. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the website that I use. It has all the algorithms and stages written out, so if you guys follow that, you can learn how to solve the Rubik's Cube as well. Let me know in the comments below how long it takes you to solve the Rubik's Cube. You can also DM me on my Instagram if you guys have any other questions, or if you want to see a more behind the scenes look to my videos. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next week.